So with the prototype of our level finished, which right now you should be seeing like a quick overview of what I have been doing when prototyping this level. I didn't want to exactly copy and paste what we had in the default level. Right now, it's finished like this. We can test it. We can see if some things are accessible or not, or if our jump just doesn't lets us get it. We would need to put some jump pads there. And well, we have this character here. Just ignore that for now. I will explain why that is there. It's because we have a player start there. And let me just delete it for now. And the thing that we need to do, I mean, before decorating this, is making sure that it's actually playable, right? And it's a good idea to have a little bit of background of game design and level design. Like, for example, I created this sniping spot, but it means that you can get attacked from a lot of angles, so it's very risky. Or I created this part that was a lot, well, it was just empty space, but it was too attacked by this high ground. So I added some walls and some windows, so it's easier to protect yourself and also snipe whoever is on top of that. But also taking in mind that you can get attacked from the left side. And then in the left side, I just created a super small structure. And here, just like that, here some cover so you don't get attacked by that. But also, it can be a very risky position to be in, because the other side can go through here and reach you and attack you from here, and you don't have any cover. I mean, you could get here and protect yourself. But yeah, I'm talking too much about level design, and I'm not an expert. I just only know some things. But when this is tested, and you can feel the flow of the game, then you can proceed to decorating it. So before decorating it, I want to actually play it with other enemies, right? That's the thing. So first, I'm going to delete the character that I dragged and dropped. I'm going to select the spawn points. So it will be the player start. I'm going to put one here. I'm going to put one here. Every player start should have a little bit of cover, so you don't spawn and die immediately. I'm going to put another one here. And you can type directly like player start, and we put it here. Make sure that you are actually rotating it to where it will look towards. I think this is fine. I think that is fine. Here, yeah, it's fine. And finally, someone that spawns in a very privileged spot, or it can also be risky actually. Player start here, and it should look towards this. Yeah, I don't want to invite it directly to climb here, but I mean, you just need to look around and you will find the entrance to this little mountain. Right. Now, we need to make sure that we are using the same game rules that are being applied in my variant game. So let's first save everything, because I have not saved in a while. Save all. And then let's hop back to the level. Let's remove the filter. Let's hop back to my variant folder, level arena shooter. And let's see what game rules we're using. To see that, we just need to click here, and we just need to check the game mode. The project settings are using the first person game mode, but this level is using the shooter game mode. What is a game mode? The game mode is just a blueprint class that specifies the rules of the game. And between those rules, we can define the default classes that we will use in the game. For example, the pawn, which is the parent class of the character, we are defining that we are going to use the blueprint shooter character, which is my character. This means that whenever we play the game, by default, we're going to use the player start as a spawning location, and we're going to use that default pawn to spawn our player. Also, the player controller is the first person player controller, and there are also a lot of things here in the controller. To explain a little bit more, whenever you play as someone, for example, I press play, and I am a character right now, a character that can pick up a gun and shoot. Right now, I'm possessing this character, and let me just run from these guys. I'm possessing this character. What this means is that every input that I'm sending, oh, I died. Every input that I'm sending is being sent to this character. So when I press shoot, then we send that input, that left mouse button, to my character, and my character starts acting and starts shooting because that's the input that is assigned to the actual action of shooting, which is just playing this animation, spawning the bullets, and doing damage. So what will happen if I press Shift F1 to get my mouse back, and I click here? We are detaching from the player controller, allowing regular editor control. So let's detach ourselves, and there is our character, which is currently unpossessed by us, the players. So the players, through the player controllers, we can possess pawns. And the character is just a type of pawn, so it's kind of the same. Kind of. Because the main difference is that the character usually means that it will be a biped type of character, and it will be able to walk, run, swim, etc. A pawn could be anything. I want a tank in my game, I want a battleship, or I want maybe a flying saucer. Those are pawns. They are not biped characters. So right now, if I wanted to possess it, okay, let's possess it. And now, every input that I'm sending is being used by this character. So that's why it's very important in our game mode to define, okay, which will be my default pawn, which will be our controller. Right? Let's go back to the level. Let me just... where is my level? Here, recent levels, level arena, no, this one, arena 01. And let's set up our game mode. Let's click here. By default, this game mode is being used, and the first person game mode, if I press play, is just giving me a first person character. But it's not the one that I need. So let's word override, and let's choose our shooter game mode. And now when I press play, now I have this character that has the HUD that was being used before and has a crosshair. Perfect, we need weapons. Well, if we look around our folder, here in blueprints, we should have the pickups. We should have, here's a shooter pickup. If we put weapons here, we will see the weapons. So we can just drag and drop this here. And here we can set up the weapon type. So if we want a grenade launcher, a pistol, a rifle, let's just put a pistol near every spawn that we have. So they can start with just a simple pistol. And now let's put some rifles out in the open. Oh, oops. This is this one. Yeah, that's not the one that I wanted to change. Let's put one here, one rifle there, one rifle out of in the open, another rifle here, maybe here on top. And I will put one grenade launcher on top of everything in the most vulnerable position. Because it should be a weapon that it's hard to get. Okay, let's save. Let's play. And now I should be able to pick up my pistol and things should be able to work as always. We need some enemies. Okay. The enemies will be in the AI folder. Here's the shooter NPC. And in this template, we're just dragging and dropping enemies. And I'll put one here on top. I'll put one here. I'll put one here. I want them to be near, but not exactly on my spawn point. Otherwise, it could be very, very unfair. Right. If we press play, and let's save before pressing play, you will find that your enemies are staying there. If they see you, well, they could try to do something about it, but they're not doing anything. Right? They only reacted because they finally saw me, right? But they are not moving. Why are they not moving? Well, the thing about Unreal and the AI doesn't know where it's standing. It doesn't know that this is a wall or that this is a mountain or whatever. It doesn't know nothing at all. So what's the deal? Well, we need to tell them how the environment is looking like. To tell them that, what we are gonna do is add a new volume. Here in the plus, we're gonna go to volumes and we're gonna drag and drop a nav mesh bounce modifier. This will create the nav mesh bounce and also a nav mesh recast. Let's just type nav mesh. That has more information about how this nav mesh will work. We don't need to touch this. We do need to increase the bounce volume, right? And to do that is very simple. Just scale it. And to see the nav mesh in action, we can press the letter P, and you will see the parts affected by the nav mesh. Or we can visualize it, I believe, here. We can make it appear, make it disappear. We can make that landscape disappear. If we want, we can show the collisions that my game currently has. So it's a very useful panel. So let's only cover our playable field. And this is what it's going to tell all the AI that are looking to move in the world. And here you can see that it's not reaching this part. So now it's reaching everything. And now our players, well, our AI players have the information to move around. Anything that is green, it's a possible movement location for our AIs. So let me press P again and let me press play and see now what's happening. Now they are moving, they are searching, and they want, oh, where am I getting attacked from? From on top. Yeah, so now it is working. Now you can play the game. And I'm losing a lot of frames because of the collision thing that I told you here. Like, it would be even better. Right now I'm at high, maybe in medium. I can get away with a lot of things, but you may find some artifacts, but the important here is to test the gameplay, right? Yeah, it can be like, oh, doesn't seem so fair. So you can test your map. That's the main point of this video, like reproducing the steps to have a playable map. And again, in this phase, we're just testing gameplay. Now that I know that it's working, we can start playing around and the decorating this level.